Hello, welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys have had a good day. It's been a bit hectic because last night went out to a friend's birthday party and then didn't sleep till about midnight and then had a kids party this morning first thing, so yeah, fair to say a little bit frazzled, but I kind of just had some more put some notes down and I wanted to just make another video really whilst I still had it on my mind. Just kind of, there might be a few people out there who don't really know what philosophy means, and I just want to kind of introduce that. So philosophy, it comes from the ancient Greek sort of philo and sophia, and that means love of wisdom. My daughter's actually called Sophia, and her gran was called Sophia because I'm of Greek heritage, so I don't know, maybe that's part of why I really fell in love with philosophy back when I did, sort of 20 odd years ago. And then more broadly, sort of philosophy is I suppose a pursuit or a quest of for truth, knowledge and understanding, of the world around us, of ourselves. So that's kind of a sort of a brief introduction and a loose definition. I mean, there's loads of videos out there that define things, and there's plenty of explainer videos that you can watch which will explain lots of things. So feel free to jump onto those. What I feel is missing is a little bit of conversational kind of videos where, I'm not saying that I'm going to be able to teach you very much, like who knows, who knows. But I feel if people want to comment, and then I could make further videos, or if you want to leave suggestions as to any areas that you'd like to go into, then I'd be open to that. The sort of topics that philosophy covers, so you've got metaphysics, which is the study of the nature of reality, which kind of obviously now it might be a little bit outdated in the sense that we've progressed to all sorts of technologies, and the advancement of technology far exceeds what these guys in ancient Greece and before, we're talking about and thinking about. They can't compete with with the modern day physics, but they had a good understanding of the nature of reality, or they're at least trying to ask probing questions and come to some sort of a better, deeper understanding of the world around them. That also includes our own existence and our being. So there will be philosophers who question things like our being, and we'll come on to those later, hopefully in some more talks or conversations. The second sort of topic is epistemology, which is the study of knowledge. So how do we come about knowledge? What does it take to know something? There's quite a few theories. I don't really want to get bogged down in too many theories, because I feel that kind of, it doesn't really, I don't know if that's going to connect with people so much. For me, this is why I fell in love with philosophy, is that I felt like it was useful for me in my life, and trying to understand A, the world, and B, myself, and so I don't, like I said, I don't want to get too bogged down in sort of a lecture type video. The third sort of topic is ethics, which I feel was a big topic. Probably would be more relevant today than metaphysics and epistemology, although those two they still have their place to a certain extent. But ethics really would be for me the biggest what's the word? The biggest topic that would have an impact on our lives on a daily basis. Logic was another topic which for me also was quite influential in sort of my experience of philosophy. Certainly helped clarity of thought, reasoning. These two things are, critical skills. They're very important things that cross over into a lot of areas that can be very useful, whether that's your own life, in your work. Just the fact is we live in this world that we're constantly bombarded with information, and it can be a lot to process, and there's a lot of, I suppose, I think a need for critical thinking with a lot of the stuff that we're exposed to. And then the last, and again it's probably very pertinent, I suppose, is political philosophy, which we'll come on to a bit later in other discussions, hopefully. And then sort of, I suppose, a person's beliefs, like everyone talks about their philosophy. Pep Guardiola has a philosophy about his football, how he wants to play football, how you want to live your life. This is, there's probably another one that, do people think too much about their philosophy or their beliefs? Do they really question their beliefs? And that will lead into sort of the philosophers that will come sort of next, because hopefully you can link that to how it can benefit people, really. For me, making moral decisions, philosophy really set me on a good sort of path, I feel, and could probably help a lot of people if they're, I don't know, if you're not too into religion, if you feel a bit like you're a little bit lost or searching for answers about, sort of moral questions, that's, philosophy can almost fill a little bit of the void that you may feel at times. Philosophy can help with, like I say, better thinking, better reasoning, dealing with setbacks, learning to be stoic. There's a whole branch of sort of philosophy around stoicism. Whole stiff upper lip and all that. Critical thinking, which again touched upon a little bit earlier. Again, we're fed so much information, and you can't just accept everything, but you can't also be too skeptical, because that can lead you down a different path of, you can't doubt everything. There has to be some foundation or some sort of belief that you have. Otherwise, that can lead to issues in your personal life, can lead to issues in terms of your mental health. And I don't know, I feel a lot of philosophy where, for me, when I went to university, it was in lecture halls, and me and my friends would kind of talk outside, but I didn't feel like there's enough cut into everyday life. Philosophy was never selling itself into something that it could be, in a sense of like really trying to help people, because there's maybe like psychology had become a bit more popular, philosophy may be seen as a bit dusty and old, and for people with, I don't know, the old, what's it called on their jackets, you know, shoulder pads and everything. But it really helped me. I mean, it really, and I know other people that's helped in terms of just being able to have your formulate beliefs and formulate your views, you know, and just not accept everything, but equally not doubt everything. You have to sound things out, but you know, you can't doubt everything. You know, and I feel like there has been sort of a shift, well, especially with young people. I've seen sort of videos on the internet about young people who are getting quite influenced by, I would say, actors who are, or agents maybe, who are acting in bad faith, and you know, they're taking these people and they're taking them for a journey along a path which is could be quite dangerous, you know, and it's maybe philosophy can. I'm not saying I'm obviously going to reach out to people. That's crazy to me to think that, you know. But if there's a couple of people who watch my videos who feel, oh, okay, yeah, I can understand. Maybe I do need to question a few more things, or think a bit more critical about what these people are, their intentions. You know, some of these people out there, and I don't need to name names, but you know, they're I don't feel they're acting in good faith, and they're taking almost vulnerable people and using them, and it's dangerous. It's a bit of a dangerous, you know, path to go down for people, but especially young people when they're very vulnerable. You know, and that search for truth, like you want to believe in something, and maybe these people, they know that, and they're you know, they're using that your search for a meaningful, the meaning of your life or the purpose of your life, and they're using that for their own ends, you know. In terms of, I mean, there's massive about mental health. Mental health is a massive thing that's, you know, for so long it was kind of never really spoken about. And yeah, I mean, I've had a few mental health issues in the past. But what I found with philosophy, particularly, you know, the sort of being able to reason and try and understand more about what's going on in your, you know, you're more of yourself, and your actions, you know, it can really help you to sort of, I wouldn't say like recover, but can really help you to process things. I mean, you know, if you don't feel like you want to go and seek professional help, philosophy could potentially fill that void. You know, so I feel that has potential benefits for people that, again, if you go to a lecture in a university, you may come away and feel like a bit cold because it's just about, oh, this theory that these guys had and these philosophers, these ideas and all this, and it can kind of get a bit, you can get a bit bamboozled and lost in it, in all the isms. There's so many isms that it doesn't, you know, some people may feel like, I don't really connect with this philosophy stuff. And then, you know, it can help you deal with sort of your pursuit of, I suppose, happiness. You know, questions of expectations, disappointments. You know, life isn't always going to go smoothly, so philosophy can really help you to kind of deal with those aspects and sort of maybe help you understand that your sort of your beliefs about happiness, and they may not be attainable, but there's nothing wrong with that. So maybe along the way go to a few philosophers who have touched upon that subject. So the next video will be about who was like my favourite philosopher to begin with, and I'll give you a little clue. He's here, Mr. Socrates. But so hopefully that was an introduction to philosophy, and the next video will dive into a little bit of what Socrates had to say. For me, he was very influential in really getting started into philosophy, and because he wasn't a lecturer, he wasn't sort of using really archaic kind of language. He just spoke with people, well, as far as we know anyway. Hopefully I've covered a few useful points, and if there's any comments or anything you'd like me to expand upon, then obviously reach out into the comments, and see you next time. Thank you very much. Bye bye.